Hey backpackers, this is Juan from Juan Backpacks, and I'm here today with the first look of an item that I'm splurging on. It's the Gossamer Gear LT5 trekking poles. I got some really nice trekking poles already, love them, done the Sierra with them. Not ready really to get rid of them, but I wanted to try something lighter, and the LT5s come in at 5 ounces a piece, and they're billed as the lightest trekking pole on the market. Not sure of that claim or not, but that's what I'm reading. And I'm really excited about them, to be honest with you. Again, it's a splurge item. It's not something absolutely needed. So I'm going to be getting rid of these, or not getting rid of these. I'm going to be kind of putting these aside. These are my black diamond aluminum trekking poles. I've done the Sierra in them many times. John Muir Trail, High Sierra Trail, the Smokies too. And they've served me well. I really like them. A little bit heavier, definitely noticeably heavier than the LT5s. Really no reason to get rid of them, to be honest with you. And I probably will just kind of keep them around and use them a little bit. So I'm going to keep them over here. I'm not going to get rid of them. So let's take a look at the Gossamer Gear LT5s, billed as one of the latest or the latest trekking poles on the market at 5 ounces a piece. And let's take a look at why I brought it into my kit, like the key specs I really like. So I'm not going to review or go over every single spec. You can always read that on their website, but I'll go over the key features that I like that kind of drew me to the piece of gear. And then I'm going to talk about how it fits into my kit moving forward, and then also maybe some concerns I have about the piece of gear as I'm going to use this. I won't do any full review of this gear until it hits 300 miles. That's the standard for my website. When I hit 300 miles of the piece of gear, then I'm going to do a review on it. So this is just an overview and just my first general thoughts. So let's take a look at the Gossamer Gear LT5. First of all, it's got some flashy Gossamer Gear lettering on there and the symbol. Love it. Love it. But here, let's get to the working parts, all right? We'll start up here at the handle. This looks like cork, but it is not. It's the EVA foam. Super light. I mean, super lightweight. And made to look like cork, and it actually looks pretty good. It's got like grooves, like it was carved out of cork, all kinds of things. I love fly fishing, and I have a lot of fly fishing rods with a lot of cork on them, and I love good cork on my fly fishing rods, not on my trekking poles though. So EVA foam is great. You can see here, it's really ergonomically designed. This little bump here for your fingers when you grip it. On the back side, the palm side, there's actually some ridges here. There's deep ridges. So again, it's just another way to help you keep a grip on the pole. The LT5 does come with the strap, and so you can actually pull the strap off if you don't want to use the strap, or you can keep it on. I like the straps. It's fully adjustable for size and length. I don't come into my strap though like this on my trekking poles, because if I stumble and fall, I don't want to be connected to my trekking poles. I want to be able to get rid of them if I have to. And so what I typically do is kind of like make this loop smaller and just slip my hand in there so it's just in like this, and then I can kind of let go of it if I have to and kind of catch myself instead of having that trekking pole hindering my movements when I'm falling. So at any rate, that's what I do with the handle. So let's move down to the actual shaft of the trekking pole. It's telescoping. It's made of carbon, and that's why it's so light. And so it looks really nice and sleek, the black finish on it. And it uses twist lock mechanisms. There are actually little mechanical things inside here that spread out and create friction inside the tubing when you twist it. And that's what keeps everything locked in place. They seem to work really well. The bottom section here, when you extend it, you always extend it to the same length where it says stop. There's a little thing that says stop on here. So I extend it there, and then I obviously going to twist lock it in place. And I can feel the mechanism kind of spreading out in there, and it gets hard to twist. Now it's stopping and it's tight. And so here's where this section is where you get your length adjustment from, and they're actually, you know, centimeter length, centimeter indicators here, so you can go to any length. I use 115 when I'm hiking, so I would do this, and I would extend it to 125 for my trekking poles, and this goes the whole way to 130. So the max here is 130 centimeters. And so I'm going to 115, and I'm going to lock it down. Again, I can feel the mechanism starting to tighten it up, and again, it feels really super tight. So the locking mechanism seems to work really well. I'm a big fan of flick lock, but I'm thinking this might be nice because it's actually more streamlined, less stuff to catch when you like kind of store it inside your pack or something like that. The flick locks tend to get stuck on cords, on ropes, on other things, and so this is kind of nice to have it streamlined. The other thing I like about this is at the bottom here, it's got a basket. This is not a snow basket though. You see how small this is? A lot of people refer this to as a mud basket, but what this is really for is to keep the trekking pole from going deep into a rock crack. And then obviously at that point when it's really deep, you do stand a higher chance of getting it stuck in there, like leveraged in the rock crack as you're going by and maybe snapping off the trekking pole at some point here. And so this is just to keep the rock, from going deep into a rock crack, which I think makes total sense. So I'm always going to hike with these small baskets on it. You can also get on their website snow baskets for it too. They're a little bit bigger. The tip is a carbide tip on it, which I like with trekking poles because it's really wears really nicely. I've got a carbide tips on my other aluminum trekking poles here. They've got hundreds and hundreds of miles on them, and they have not worn down enough to have to replace them. But you can replace this. You can unscrew it, replace it if you want to. So I like things that have replaceable, enable you to have replaceable parts. And so that is the kind of long and short, right, of the LT5s. Some concerns I have moving forward, let's start with some of the reasons I brought this into my kit. Number one, I honestly totally splurge. I was more than happy with my heavy ones, totally splurge. I'm like, gonna get myself something for Christmas. I got a lot of gear already. I don't really need anything. And I'm like, okay, let's just do this. I do, though, like the idea that it is lighter. On longer days, I do start to feel the weight of my trekking poles after a while. And so it is going to be nice to be able to have a little bit lighter trekking poles, I think. I'm just making an assumption moving forward. The other thing I like about this trekking pole is that it is really streamlined because, like I mentioned about the flick locks before, I tend to get that caught like on cords and things like that in my pack, and it just doesn't slide in and out of my pack as easy when I'm storing them away. And so I'm looking forward to that as well. And also looking forward to the quality of Gossamer Gear equipment too. I've got a lot of their equipment and I'm not associated with them in any way, but I really have enjoyed their tents, their backpacks. I use a variety of backpacks, but I have one in particular, the G420, I really like that they make. And I've got some other pieces of gear that they make, and I just really like it. So I'm really looking forward to using a really nice quality piece of gear. Some of my concerns moving forward, well, number one, the twist locks. I've heard not about these trekking poles specifically. As a matter of fact, I haven't heard anything about the twist locks on these trekking poles, but I've heard of other trekking pole twist locks not working as well and not staying as tight. And so I'm going to kind of watch out for that. I've also heard about folks breaking carbon trekking poles a lot easier. And so that's definitely a real possibility because, quite honestly, carbon's more brittle, right? It's just more brittle. And so, if you get your trekking pole stuck in a rock crack, it's probably a higher probability that it would snap instead of bend a little bit like I know that I've done that to my aluminum trekking poles where I've really wedged them into a rock crack, and I know they've bent a little bit. Now they went back into place again, but I could feel them flex a little bit when I was like stumbling or something. And so I'm a little bit leery about that. The cool thing is on Gossamer Gear's website, if I do happen to have an accident and break a trekking pole, I can replace a section, which I really appreciate, instead of having to replace the entire trekking pole, because they are pretty pricey. I mean, they're like $195 on their website, and they're having like a Black Friday sale is how I got this, like kind of this Thanksgiving sale during Black Friday time, and I got them for $145. And so that's really what put me over the top, to be honest with you, to splurge on something like this. And that was, I thought, pretty good price for carbon trekking poles. And so that's something I'm concerned about is the trekking pole snapping. But other than that, quite honestly, I have a lot of confidence in Gossamer Gear's stuff, and I really don't feel like I've got much to worry about as far as these trekking poles go. Again, once I hit 300 miles, I will get back on here and I'll do an actual review. I don't do any reviews till 300 miles plus. So until next time, backpackers, get out there and do some backpacking. Stop watching YouTube videos. Get out there. Unless they're mine, then watch all of them from start to finish. Later, folks.